Well, they've churned out a new Jeepers Creepers movie. This series, despite its controversies, has gained quite a fan following, mainly because, despite the series' creator Victor Salva's disgusting habits in his personal life, he does seem to be a talented director. Now, I'm not forgiving Victor Salva for his heinous deeds, but I am able to separate the art from the artist. If you're not, I understand and respect that. I have plenty of other videos for you to enjoy. But like it or not, the Creeper is a bona fide horror icon, and they seem to be determined to make more films, though this time around without Salva's participation. So while even acknowledging the existence of this film may irk some people, let's try to keep things civil in the comments. After all, even after Roseanne was canceled, The Conners went on to be a big hit. That's kind of the way I look at this Salva-less installment of the franchise. Here are my thoughts on Jeepers Creepers Reborn. Welcome back to ML Miller Frights. I'm ML Miller. Before we begin, please do me a favor and punch that like button down below. Share this video with all of your social media addicted pals. Click subscribe to this channel and ring that bell for notifications. Jeepers Creepers Reborn is new on-demand, digital download, and in select theaters. It's directed by Timo Vuorensola and written by Sean Michael Argo. Lane, played by Sidney Craven, is the supportive girlfriend of Chase, Imran Adams. This is evidenced by her accompanying Chase to a horror weekend convention that celebrates all things horror, even though she's not really into that. This year the convention takes place in the rural town which was the site of the Creeper legend. It just so happens that it's been 23 years since the Creeper has appeared, and according to legend, he's due in town that very night Lane and Chase roll in. Oh, and also Laney is pregnant, which seems to interest the townfolk and the Creeper a whole hell of a lot. To be honest, the Jeepers Creepers franchise could have been left as finished as Victor Salva's career, and I would have been okay with it. While the first film admittedly was well made, well acted by the amazing Justin Long and Gina Phillips, and definitely delivered in Creeps and Carnage, the second film felt like a weaker retread with an admittedly good performance by Ray Wise. But by the time the third one came around, it paled in comparison to the first with bad acting, a repetitive story, and poorly or brightly lit scenes that sucked all potential for scares dry. Even though the last film ended with a Chucky-esque cameo by Gina Phillips from the original, it wasn't enough to get me jazzed for another sequel. Instead of going that route, the franchise has gone meta. In Reborn, the Creeper is a rural legend celebrated in 3 motion pictures, aka the other films in the Jeepers Creepers series. So yeah, the film goes meta, with the real Creeper being hypothetically much badder than the ones that showed up in those other movies. The first mistake Reborn makes is attempting to recreate the admittedly classic first moments of the original Jeepers Creepers. Though in this version, it recreates the first encounter with the Creeper in an Unsolved Mysteries-like crime series in the 80s. Those who don't know, Salva was accused of simply copying and pasting an Unsolved Mysteries episode into the beginning of his film, where an older couple see a creepy car pass them on the road, then later see the man in the car dumping a body, only to be followed by the car later. The problem is that this scene, though it features genre icons Dee Wallace and Gary Graham, pales in comparison to the tension and horror from the memorable opener of the original. Trying to recreate this tension and suspense was a clear indication from Jump Street that the director lacks the chops the original director had. I'm sure this was supposed to be an ironic opener, but it only shows how much the quality of this series has declined. Director Timo Vuorensola did the Iron Sky films about Nazis on the moon and its sequel, and it's nice to see he's upped his resume with Reborn. Still, it doesn't get much better than the lackadaisical opening. While there is a lot of carnage, not a lot of it makes sense. The Jeepers Creepers series never really made much sense. Why does the Creeper do what he does? What is it? Some kind of monster? Is it related to crows, or scarecrows, or cicadas, as was suggested in previous entries? And what about the biblical ties which were hinted at in the third film? Apparently, Salva did have a plan, but since he left, it's doubtful we will know even if we wanted to. There were always hints that the townfolk knew something about the creeper, and that carries over into Reborn, but motivations other than being creepy were vague. What's even more vague is why the creeper is interested in Lane's unborn child. He's just after her, and the rest of the cast are trying not to get killed as he pursues her. But still, at the heart of it all, it's just the creeper killing people viciously and pointlessly. Jonathan Breck, who played the creeper in the first three installments, doesn't return either for Reborn. Here, the creeper is played by Jero Benjamin, who does an okay job, but he still isn't as tall and menacing as Breck. Even though the film makes it a point to distance itself from the first three films, Benjamin tries to repeat some of the actions like smiling, waving, and shaking his finger at his victims. While the kills are decent and brutal, there's something lacking from this performance. Much of the scenes with the creeper are in shadow, hiding the face, but later, when his face is revealed, the creeper mask feels disproportionate to his body, giving him a big head feel. And what the hell is up with the music the creeper seems to be obsessed with? The use of the Jeepers Creepers song felt random in the original films, but Reborn doesn't even use that song. They use a new song made to seem old called Hungry Eyes, which is not the Dirty Dancing song, but it makes even less sense to use, much less why the creeper is so obsessed with it. It simply feels like the rights to the original song were unable to be used, so they quickly made up a song that sounded similar to it. I hate to say this, but if they were going to make a new Jeepers Creepers film, I kind of wish Salva would have been consulted in order to get what he was working towards. I'm sure behind the scenes, Salva is making money on this project, even though none of the publicists will admit it. He created the character after all. But despite the drop in quality from the first three films, at least it felt like there was a build-up to something. This new Jeepers Creepers just feels like it's borrowing from the originals, but not adding anything new, and doesn't really have a clue as to where it wants to go. There are random weird scenes, and the kills are decently realized, but nothing to suggest that the film wanted to add new depth to the horror icon. Most importantly, Reborn simply lacks that creep factor that permeated the rest of the series. It's a shame such a dark pall is cast over this movie series, which was made by many more people than just its notorious director. I hope in the next installment, and I assure you there will be one, someone will come along and add and understand what came before while accomplishing the same level of spookiness the original undeniably had. It's a shame, in the end, Jeepers Creepers Reborn turned out to be neither creepy nor jeepy.
You're doomed to live the life you're meant to be, stuck inside your reality. You're